podcast about our lived experience, which unfortunately includes infant death and subsequent mental health struggles. Please take good care of yourself and only listen if this content feels safe for you right now. We'll still be here when you're ready.
Hi, I'm Judith.
And I'm Alina. We are internet friends turned real-life friends who both experienced the tragic loss of our sons to sudden infant death syndrome in winter of 2021.
In the year after Aiden died, my husband and I both became unemployed, my parents divorced, and we had to move 5 times for various reasons.
And as for me, just a few weeks before my son Quinn died, my then husband had come out to me as a transgender woman and were subsequently divorcing.
It's been a lot.
It's been a lot.
But as long as we're living, we will love our sons deeply and work to make sure that we live a life that makes them proud.
Welcome to As Long as I'm Living podcast.
We're so glad you're here.
Hi.
Hi, it's Friday afternoon and you have a drink in your hand.
I do have a drink in my hand. It is 4 p.m.
You're wearing the shirt I gave you.
Yeah. Oh my God. I forgot this is your shirt because I wear it all the time and it feels like my shirt. But yes,
no,
this
it's
is your
yours.
shirt.
I have so much clothes for you. It's so sad for my life. But I will get surgery and I will fit into my clothes again.
So yeah, listeners, Judith needs to get a breast reduction. Let's be honest.
She does.
It's bad.
But not yet. She's going to wait a little longer.
Well, because you're going to have more kids.
Hopefully. Maybe. I mean, I hope so, but I can't think about that right now.
Of course not. Of course not.
One
Forget
alive
I even
baby at
said
the
it.
time. Okay, hello. I was just cooking like a storm. I'm making lasagna. I'm making strawberry soup. I'm making
Hang on. What is strawberry soup?
Is this like a thing?
Is it a Jewish thing?
I didn't think so. Google didn't think so.
What is strawberry soup?
It's something that you have on like a really hot day and it tastes like a strawberry smoothie, but it's soup and you serve it in a bowl and you drink it with a spoon.
Like gazpacho? Like watermelon gazpacho?
Yeah, but imagine a strawberry smoothie. Like Google it. Here's what's in it. Strawberries, yogurt, like heavy cream, vanilla. Yeah, vanilla.
That sounds so good.
And like more strawberries. And that's it. But like it looks like a fancy soup, but really it's just a smoothie.
Okay, so you've been making strawberry soup.
And asparagus. Oh my God.
Is it a holiday?
Yeah, we've got a 3-day holiday coming up.
Oh gosh. Jews have so many holidays.
I know. You'd think it was a joyous like religion. It's just like everyone's always dying, so we're always eating. But no worries. What else am I making? Asparagus.
The reason I knew it was a holiday was because I was supposed to have a baby. Amy from I Was Supposed to Have a Baby was talking about it being a holiday. So I learned a lot of Jewish things from her account, which is an excellent account, by the way. If
It is an excellent account.
It is a Jewish specific account, kind of, but I would say the content is very universal, in my opinion.
If you're in this world, you end up on her page.
Yeah.
And she's got a lot of followers.
She has so much content. It's ridiculous. We love Amy.
We can just put a plug in that I'm going to be on her Instagram Live.
Yes.
In July. So find me there. Okay, I'm putting the microphone down so you don't hear that moving. And today we're talking about signs.
Signs. This is a big topic. I think this is a very meaningful topic for lost parents.
Should we say it's also maybe like a little controversial because some people believe in them, some people don't?
I think there aren't many lost parents who don't believe in signs at all.
Okay.
Do you disagree?
I don't know. My husband doesn't seem to believe in them. But whenever I tell him a sign, he's like, that's cool. Like, okay, I see that. I don't think he believes in it like he sees them. But I think if I present them to him, he's not in denial that they could exist. Does that sound
Sure.
like it makes sense?
Well, okay. So on that note, like I'm not someone who pre-loss like believed in signs really. We talked about this in the Crisis of Faith episode. I'm not a like very spiritual person. I don't really have a good sense of the afterlife or like people who have died looking over me like at all. That said, like since the loss, I do feel like I've developed a little bit more of like a sense of like what I can't see. And so I really do feel like there have been specific times. I don't think it's like Quinn reaching out to touch me, but more just like like, oh, just a reminder that he was there, that he existed, and like that I still maintain a connection with him even though he's gone.
So you don't think he's in charge of them? Not in charge of them, but I'm saying like you're gonna tell the story with the owl later,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So do you think in that case, like Quinn put an owl there?
I do think he put the owl there.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
would say maybe he has a touch more involvement than you're giving
You're
him
right.
credit for.
Yeah.
Can you imagine if he's up in heaven working so hard to get you an owl and
He's
you're
like,
I don't
Mom,
really,
listen.
I don't really believe that it's there. He just existed. And he was like, I put in all my points, all my golden stars I used on that owl.
Okay, so should we talk about like what a sign is, or do we think that that's silly? Because we all know.
Sure. We could say briefly what a sign is, and then maybe we'll share a couple stories about signs, and
Sure.
then
Yeah.
we'll see where it goes. So to me, a sign is like a little wink from Aiden. And I 100% believe that he is involved with them. And they're always like weird coincidences.
Yeah.
Or they're always like weird coincidences, or they're like, I was in the right place at the perfect time to see something, or things like that. Like sometimes, and this is not a sign, but I would say there's two levels of signs. There's level one, which is like one of those big things that stops you in your tracks.
Yeah.
And then there are smaller things that, like, I don't know if it's a sign, but I would say it's just like a wink. Like, for example, like when I don't live near dolphins. To me, Aiden always comes to me in the form of like a dolphin. I don't live near dolphins anymore. When he was born and when he died, I did live near dolphins. So it would be like normal for me to see dolphins. Okay.
Yeah.
But now I don't live near dolphins. But whenever I'm scrolling on TikTok and like out of nowhere, in between ex-Mormon TikTok, stripper TikTok, breastfeeding TikTok, which I don't even breastfeed, but like somehow I'm on these TikToks. There'll be like a dolphin playing, and I don't follow dolphins. It'll be like so random to me that'll be a wink, and then that's one level, and then the other level is like whoa, and I'll write it down on my phone as like this is a sign. Does that make sense?
That makes total sense. So for me, I think the difference is there are things I associate with Quinn, and those things feel like little like winks or nods from the universe, whereas there are other things that really have felt like it was him. So some of it is like just a thing that reminds me of him that feels like a connection, maybe something more than just a reminder, something a little
Would
bit
it
bigger
be
than a
like
reminder.
this is something that comes up for me? It'll be like I'll be scrolling on Bed Bath & Beyond, or I'll be scrolling for like a blanket or whatever I'm scrolling for, and the name that they'll use, or on Etsy for like a sign, and the name that they'll use will be Aiden. To me, it could be completely coincidental, and like obviously their kid's name's Aiden, so the artist just chose his name. But to me, I'm always like, that's a little wink.
Yeah. I actually had a similar situation. I think it was around Mother's Day. Yeah, it was around Mother's Day. I was doing a training at work, and I work for a company. Well, I currently work for. I've resigned. I'm starting a new job soon, but at the job I'm currently at, I was doing a training, and I was on a screen share with a whole bunch of people, and I just like picked a random product by the product number to like do an example with, and it turned out it was the Quinn. And like I think if it had happened a year prior, that would have kind of sent me spinning and been really stressful. But to me, like it was right around Mother's Day, and like it just felt like it felt so nice to say his name in front of people too. Like I was just like, oh, the Quinn, like the Quinn, da 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 da. Like it just felt nice. Like I was like, oh, hi Quinn. But let me be clear, I don't think he sent me that product.
Right. No, exactly. I don't think he sent me the Etsy design that happened to have his name. However, I see it as just like a little nod that he existed in the universe. Yeah. So let me tell you a story, and I think I only have a few stories that were like big signs, and I have to say I feel like I've gotten them. There have been times in my life since Aiden died that I've gotten more of them, and there are times when I've gotten less of them. One thing I heard someone say is if you need a sign, ask for one out loud. So there have been times where I've said out loud, Aiden, I need a sign. Are you with me? Give me a sign. But I'll just tell a story, and I have a few, but this one is one that always gets me. When the day that Aiden was going to be turning 7 months old, I took my dog for a walk, and my dog went over to someone who was getting out of their car that we didn't know. Like, it just happened to be someone from a few blocks over. And my dog would not leave this man's side. Like, he was just like, my dog was just smelling him, smelling him, smelling him. I finally said to the guy, I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry. Do you have a dog at home? Like, sometimes she like gets excited when she smells another dog. And the guy was like, yeah, I have a dog. His name is Aiden. And
Oh.
I thought that was who names their dog Aiden? I was like, did you pick that name? He's like, no, it came with that name from the shelter. And I was like, oh, how old's your dog? And he said, oh, he's 7 months today.
Oh, I
Isn't that
forgot about
weird?
this story.
And
I
then
forgot about that.
my dog Rosie and I just kind of walked away, but I was like shook, you know?
Yeah.
First of all, who names their dog Aiden? It's not a usual dog name.
It is not a normal dog name. No, it's not.
Right. And
That's
to
so
me, that was like a
special.
sign. And the guy didn't even live at that house. He was just visiting that house. It was like some
Yeah.
random guy from some other house. And he just I feel like Aiden put us together in the same place at the same time
Yeah.
just so I could
To be like, hey,
get that
Mom,
hello.
I'm
Right.
7 months old
I'm
today.
7 months old today. Okay, what is the
Yeah.
sign that you got? That wasn't the biggest sign. It was just a sign.
So, I'll say like, so my lesser sign, actually, it was a big sign. So
Yeah.
I had a dream. This was pretty early. So I am not someone who dreams a lot, and I have not for like I would say 3 or 4 or 5 months after Quinn died, I had no dreams at all. I've been taking medication to sleep, and I just like my brain just like blocked out dreams, which I'm glad because I think I would have had nightmares. And I have not dreamed a lot about him. I think over time I will start to dream about him more, but I did have a dream about him really early on where it was about him. He had died in the dream. But I was at my parents' house in the dream, and I had my hand resting on their table, and in the dream my hand was resting on the table, and there was a little handprint like in the light. If I like moved my head, I could see this little handprint right next to my physical hand in the dream. And it was just such a reminder of his presence. I remember I woke up in bed and I cried and I said, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I like really needed that. Like I really needed to feel connected to him.
Wait. I think dreams are a separate thing.
You think?
I do because just this week I had a dream. I woke up and I told my husband, and I had a dream that I was like somewhere random, and then I was in the ocean, and then a dolphin came over to me and was like, "Hi,
Oh,
Aiden," and then took its fin and put its hand on my face, put its fin on his.
oh,
But
Aiden was saying hi in a
he was
dream.
saying hi in a dream, but I think dreams are different than signs
That's
because to
true. I
me,
do feel like they are different. I also had a dream recently that was so special, which was actually he was dying in a hospital bed, but he was alive. And I got to like look into his eyes in the dream. And that was also so special, even though, again, like he was dying in the dream. And I think most parents would wake up from that dream and be like, that was
yes,
horrifying. I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I got to like look in his eyes.
I have had the exact same dream, Alina.
Yeah.
I have had the exact same dream where I get to the hospital. I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you've just been sick this whole time?
Well,
Oh, I
and the
get to
doctor was
see
like, I'm
you.
so sorry to let you know he's dying. And I was like, he's alive?
I had
Like, I
the
was like, so
same
happy.
dream. I had the exact same dream.
That's so funny. I feel like it's like our brains can't reconcile that they're dead. Well, it's more like my brain has like accepted that he's dead. So even in my dreams, he has to be like dead or dying. But I do
Yes.
think over time, I think
I
I
don't
might be
know
able to
because
have
I know
some
someone
regular
who
dreams.
lost their child 14 years ago, and she had a dream about her daughter, and she and her daughter were dancing. And in her dream, she was like, I'm gonna go soon. I'm gonna go soon. Like, I'm gonna die. And she's like, I know you're dying, but let's just dance
Oh,
together. It's almost like your brain knows that the
yeah.
child is no longer there, but you're still, it's joyous that you got to see them, not sad that they're leaving. Okay, tell the story about the owl because I think
Okay.
that is
So this is the biggest sign I've ever gotten from Quinn. And it was a really, really special one, like really special. So I was walking through, so I live right near Boston in a very urban area. And I was walking and I was on a date with the person that I'm actually still dating now. And we were walking to dinner and we passed this beautiful owl sitting on a bike rack in the middle of like downtown Cambridge, just like hanging out. And we were really close to him, like really, 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 really close to this owl. And we stood there for a second and like stared at the owl, and I like looked at it. The owl like moved its head, you know how owls do.
Yeah.
And I was like, gosh, this is so cool. And so we, kept walking. We went to dinner, and I was thinking about how cool it was. And as we walked out of the restaurant, and this was like an hour later, we had gone and gotten a drink and an appetizer or something, and we were leaving the restaurant, and the owl was still there on the way out. And we walked past the owl again, and I was like, oh my God, because I forgot. So owls were not like an animal I traditionally associated with Quinn, like before this moment. But then I was standing there staring at this owl that was still there in this like very urban area. Again, it was like he was like standing on a bike rack by the T.
Yeah.
And I remembered, so Quinn had this playmat, and there were a bunch of different animals on the playmat, but his two favorite animals were both owls. They made really good sounds. If I do say so myself, like really good, like satisfying crinkle and like bell sounds, and he really liked those ones. He was like always much more drawn to those. Like he would like turn his head to look at the owl ones. And he was cremated with one of the owl. We used to call him his owl pals. He was cremated with one of them. And so I was staring at this owl the second time, and I was thinking to myself, like, oh my God, like he's like coming to say hi. And like he hung around while I sat there and ate dinner so that I could come to the conclusion that it was him. Like he waited around for me to come out of the restaurant and see him again and be like, oh my God. Like, I think it's actually possible I may have realized while I was at the restaurant, but like even still, like I walked out and was like, oh my God, he's still there. It is him. Like I don't literally think the owl was him, but there was just like something so special about like he waited for me.
Yeah.
And I just like had this like warmth and like peace that just like overcame me. I just felt so connected to him. And I'll also say that night was the night that my boyfriend and I had decided to become boyfriend and girlfriend.
You gave him a promotion?
Yeah, I gave him a promotion to boyfriend. And so that happened before we went out. And so we decided that we went out, and I saw this owl. And I don't necessarily feel like that was Quinn being like, you made the right decision. This is like correct. But I do feel like I was feeling a little bit anxious about it. And I do feel like
you got his blessing,
Yeah.
I'm into this. I'm here for it. I want to be here. You know what they say,
I'm
like
here.
live a life worth watching.
Yeah.
Like, I kind of feel like he was like, yeah, this is what I want to watch you do. I want to watch you be happy. I want to watch you fall in love. I want to watch you have,
Yeah.
what you
It was
want
really
for yourself.
special. I think about that owl like honestly all the time. And I really want to see more owls, but I have not seen any more owls.
Well, let's ask. Let's ask Quinn right now. Let's
Quinn,
see what
I
happens.
would love to see an owl. If you can hear me, which I know you can, send me another owl. I would love an owl.
I think that
Or a hedgehog.
We'll take either. So I'll tell you my biggest story. I don't know if this is my biggest story, but this is my favorite story.
I think you get more signs than I do, but you're probably more in tune with them than I am.
I think I leave the house more.
Well, that is definitely true. No question, that's true.
So for Aiden's birthday, we went to the cemetery, and then I went with my mom on a walk to the beach, and we went to the beach, and we were walking up. We were going to walk up and down the coastline, this particular coastline that I had taken Aiden to when he was alive with my mom, and we went there together. So we went back to that beach, and we were walking, like there's a walk that you do to like the end of the point, and then you came back. So the whole time I said to my mom, I was like, I really hope that Aiden comes today, because to me, Aiden's always comes in the form of a dolphin. So I was like, I really hope I see a dolphin today. I really hope I see a dolphin today. Like, it just means so much to me.
You were saying, I need to see a dolphin today, Aiden, please.
I need to see a dolphin. And we walked to the point, and there were no dolphins. And we were just kind of like waiting at this point, I think, because we didn't want to admit that maybe he would not be coming to us that day. And so we were just trying to give him a little more time. And then my mom said, okay, I guess we should head back. She's like, but I really have to go to the bathroom. And I was like, well, what do you want to do? Like, what do you want to do about this? She's like, I mean, I guess I could like just go to the bathroom like behind this rock. and like just wait for me and let's see what happens. And I said, sure, like I'll look out for you. You pee behind a rock. Because there were a lot of people around and the rock wasn't very tall. And all of a sudden, my mom drops her pants. She's mid pee behind a rock, and there is a dolphin right in front of her. Right in front of her. And I was like, oh, it's a dolphin. And my mom stands up. Where?
Is she going to be so embarrassed that you're telling this story?
Probably. She was like completely pantsless, standing, looking for this dolphin. And I always think it's the funniest thing. Like, I just think Aiden had the funniest sense of humor. Like, obviously, the one time that we finally see the dolphin, like, she's pantsless.
You waited all day.
We waited all day. Just got that last moment. And then the crazy thing is, once the dolphin was there, we saw two dolphins. We saw two dolphins playing, and they didn't leave. They walked alongside us up and down the coast, up and down. And that's not normal. Normal dolphins just like swim away. But they swam next to us as we walked the entire way back. For like 25 minutes, these two dolphins were like swimming next to us as we were walking. And, I felt that sense of warmth on me.
Yeah.
And I felt Aiden like as if he was a 1-year-old boy holding on to my leg.
Yes.
I like felt him. I physically felt him and his size on me.
Yes.
And to me, that's kind of when I know there's a sign.
Mm-hmm.
When I feel him there. It's not just like,
Yes.
I think that's a coincidence. It's like, no, like he is here and he is watching and thinks this is very entertaining.
So let's talk about that. Like, I want to dive into that more just for a second, because I think there are signs where there's something so specific, like a dolphin or an owl, where it comes to you. And then I also do feel like there's a real presence that I sometimes feel where he's there. And I know you and I both felt that when we went to our grief retreat last summer, where we walked out onto the deck and I was just like, oh my God, he's here.
Quinn is here. Yeah, I remember that. We were both.
And it was just such a relief to feel him there. Obviously, it's like, such a consolation prize because he's not actually there. But
no, I know. But
just those little snippets where you get to feel like they're there, it feels like so beautiful. Yeah.
I completely agree. And I most often feel him in nature.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm looking out at wide open spaces, I feel him the most. But I will say that I went to that Andy Grammer concert. And the minute I walked into the room, I felt him. I felt him the entire time in this crowded room with all these people who weren't wearing masks. And I felt his presence so strongly. And the entire night, I just danced by myself. I went to this concert completely by myself. And I think part of, you have to be in a space where you're vulnerable, like where you can feel him. I don't feel like I feel him when there are a lot of people around. I feel like I feel him when I'm alone. That's when he comes to me. That's when it feels like he comes to me. I don't know if he actually is, but there are times where especially at that concert, I felt I was holding him and dancing with him the entire time. I did not sit down, and I was 8.5 months pregnant, and I didn't sit down the entire concert. I was dancing the entire time by myself. There was like this really sweet girl who was like, hey, like, you want to dance together? You can dance next to me. And I was like, no. I'm dancing with my son. You just can't see him. Now is not the time to be dancing.
So one other thing I wanted to just touch on is that I feel like other people can get signs too. And it has always been really meaningful to me when people see something that makes them think of Quinn. So like my friend Leah, there's a street near her house that's called Quimby Avenue. And so, like if I drive by it, I think of her, and I told her about that. And she now says, oh, I just drove by Quimby Avenue. And my friend Jill, whose episode I'll try to remember to link, we interviewed her. She's Hadley's mom. She was at a sweet little boutique recently, and she saw right next to each other. So her daughter, elephants remind her of her daughter. And there was a little elephant ornament right next to a little hedgehog ornament. And she thought, oh my God, like Hadley and Quinn are hanging out, and they sent these little ornaments. And so she obviously got them, and she gave me the little hedgehog ornaments. And now I have a cute little hedgehog ornament, and she got the elephant for herself. And I think those times are like special too. Like I know, like just to keep going with Jill, like every time I'm going to EMDR, I drive past, there's like a Hadley lane and like a Hadley, like building that. And so I think of her daughter every single time I drive by it. And I've texted her a couple times, like, oh, I'm driving by like, the Hadley building. And she's like, oh, that's so sweet. And like, I think those things are like if you see something that makes you think of your friend or your family member's baby, like let them know. Like they would love to hear
Like
that they popped into your mind.
the baby next to Aiden's name is Ari, and Ari
Mm-hmm.
means lion. And all the time, I see lions and I think of Ari. All the time. Every time I see a lion, I think of Ari. And when I'm reading stories to my daughter and there's a lion, I would say, "Oh, look, it's Ari. Ari is Aiden's friend." Like I'll forget, like lions
Yeah.
say "rar," you know. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I'm just like our lions are Ari, and Ari is Aiden's friend. Don't you get it? Probably one day she's gonna be in school, and the teacher's like, "What do lions?" She's gonna say, "She's like, lions say Ari," and Ari is friends with Aiden. And poor teacher's like, "What the heck are you talking about?" But I do feel like I don't know why, like our children always remind us of animals. I don't know why. You know, I don't know that. There are also, I'll share one more story and then we'll wrap up. But for me, the first sign I ever got was when I would go. My therapist told me that when you visit your child at the cemetery, that you should ritualize it. You should like go through a sequence of events every time. I wonder if it's different when you have an urn, but maybe when you spend time with the urn, like go through a sequence of events. So for me, that meant I would listen to the same song over and over. Like I would listen to the song when I got there, and I'd read a story, and I would tell him like updates in my life. And that's what I do when I go to the cemetery. I read a story, I listen to the song. Sometimes I'll listen to some songs that he listened to when he was a baby, and that's what I do there every time. And the song that I would sing, I'll share it on our Instagram. But the song, I mean, not the song I would sing, the song I would listen to is the song that I listened to on the way to his funeral. There was a song that I listened to on the way to his funeral over and over and over again. I mean, we drove for 20 minutes. I listened to that song the entire way there. I couldn't breathe, and it was the only thing that would help me breathe. And so I would just listen to the song it was so loud. My poor husband was driving, and it was so loud you could hear it outside that car. And the entire way to the cemetery, that's what I was listening to. So it's a song by Angie Grammer, which is why Angie Grammer means so much to me and why I was dancing with Aiden there. But what happened was I every time I went to the cemetery, I listened to that song, and I didn't really think anything of it. But then one day I decided that I needed a new hobby. I needed to do something to do with my life that wasn't lying in bed. So I went on this website called Woof. It's like Worldwide Organic Farming, and I found a farm that was like 45 minutes away from my house that I could volunteer at. And it was just this random guy who didn't even have a real farm. He just had like a mountain in his backyard, and he thought he was a farmer. And so he planted vegetables in the mountain and had no animals.
And he wanted you to swim in his pool.
He wanted me to swim in his pool, which was a dumpster. His pool was a dumpster.
Excuse me? His pool
Did I never
was
tell you
a
that?
dumpster?
His pool
You
was
never
a dumpster.
told me his pool was a
his
dumpster.
pool, he took a dumpster and he lined it with, I guess, like vinyl or something, and he filled it up and made it a pool. It was a dumpster.
I kind of forgot about the farmer. That was like an early character in our friendship.
Oh my God, such a character. Him. And for like months, I would go there twice a week. And I would fix his sprinkling system, which always was broken. And I would plant seeds, which always died because he didn't know how to be a farmer.
You know, when you said you volunteered for a farmer, I always pictured you just like doing like clerical work, like in an office. I never pictured you like planting seeds.
No, I was 100% planting seeds and fixing sprinkler systems. And I was labeling seeds that I was planting.
So you were a charity case for him, clearly.
100%. So anyway, that was the character that I had encountered in the middle of nowhere, California, and it was good for me because the whole thing was so bizarre that it distracted me from my problems, but it certainly was random, very, 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 very random, until one day when he told me that we were just talking over planting seeds, and he told me that his brother-in-law just bought a new house, and I was like, oh, cool, like, you know, where did he buy his house? And he told me, and it was like a fancy part of town. I was like, whoa, was that an expensive house? And he was like, oh yeah, my brother-in-law is a musician, like he does well for himself. And I said, oh, okay. Who's your brother-in-law? Like maybe I've heard of him. And he was like, I don't know, like you probably haven't. His name is Andy Grammer. And I was shook. Like, out of all the people in the entire world, and I know you think people from Los Angeles all know celebrities. We do not. We do not know celebrities. I don't know any celebrities. I don't. My mom one time made orthotics for Queen Latifah, but like this is that's the extent of the celebrities that I know. And so
That's your claim to fame.
yeah, exactly. So my point is, to me, that was such a sign that out of anyone in the world that I could be spending time with, like this was a guy who had a personal connection to this artist who meant so much to me. Like I listened to his music nonstop in those months. And you know what's weird? I never went to that farm again after that day.
Really?
I never saw the farmer again. I meant to come back, but I never did. It kind of felt like, okay, I got what I needed out of that. I got closure. It was like I needed to know. It was just like a sign that I had checked that off my list, and that Aiden was there with me, and it was time
Aiden
to
brought
move
you
forward.
there just to get that.
I really do believe Aiden brought me there to meet Andy Grammer's brother-in-law, and then I was done.
Yeah. So listeners, we're going to post some stuff on our Instagram about this. If you have gotten a sign from your sweet baby, we would love to hear about it.
And if you have a picture of it, that'd be even cooler.
If you have a picture of it, we would love to see.
I'm going to try and find a picture of some of the plants that I grew.
Yeah. Oh, wait, I just thought of another sign, which was the day that we got the coroner's report of that he had died of SIDS. I had like a really bad day with it. Do you remember, Judith? I called you. That was like the first time I called you. I was like really distressed. And it was a really, really, really bad day. I like threw up and like was just like a hot mess. I mean, I was like really fucked up. And I remember I went to bed at like 5 p.m. that night because I just like couldn't even be alive. And then the next morning I got up and I felt a little bit better. And I was like, I'm going to force myself to go for a walk. And I walked outside and I saw the most beautiful rainbow.
Yes.
It was so clear. It was so distinct, huge. I was like, oh my God. I just felt like it's a new day. Like that was a really hard day. Like he was just saying like, I know it was a hard day. Like it's a new day though. It's a fresh new day, a beautiful new day.
I really believe it.
To all of our wonderful new friends, we want to hear from you. Email us at aslongasimlivingpodcast@gmail.com and follow us on Instagram at aslongasimlivingpodcast. We'll get back to you as soon as our grieving brains allow.
Yay!